I had a strange day yesterday. I went for a walk in Battersea Park with a friend and was papped. This photographer came up and said, I've just taken a picture of you, I'm going to try and sell it. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I was hoping to find Taylor Swift. I think it was a sad day for him, really.
Good evening, welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Romesh Ranganathan. In the news this week, in Essex, after 20 years of touring with him, Rod Stewart finally releases his pet chicken into the wild. In Loughborough, after a young girl gets trapped inside a tumble dryer for over 3 hours, doctors keep a close eye for any after effects. And in Bournemouth, after his wife has a fall, a resourceful pensioner makes sure she has access to vital resources until help arrives. On Ian's team tonight is a poet and broadcaster who once said his tough upbringing, growing up in care in the 80s, made Margaret Thatcher his mother, which means he'd be one of the few kids who could get any milk out of her. Please welcome Lemn Sissay. And with Paul tonight is a comedian whose mother named her after her favourite fictional character in Little Women. I did the same with my kids. So if you're watching at home, Mr Bump, Hannibal Lecter and Optimus Prime, it's past your bedtime. Please welcome Joe Brand. We begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Ian and Lem, have a look at this.
Leader of the Labour Party there on the left. That's Hartlepool win. Cheers all round.
Boris Johnson saying yes to expenses.
That's how little they lost by, and that's everyone else getting the elbow. Goodbye, England. Yeah, these are the election results, which were extraordinary.
There were 8 local councils were lost by Labour.
And is that bad?
That's not good.
Can I just say, I thought the Labour Party did really well. I mean, they took Wales, didn't they? Pretty much right across the board.
Yes, they did.
So, well, that's 1 country out of 4. 3.
Joe, can I just ask, are you deliberately trying to sugarcoat this, or is this what you genuinely think it was a good result? It was good.
I'm just lying, because it seems to be the way to get ahead of everyone else is doing that. You know, I think I'm kind of a very positive person.
Yeah, no, you're a glass half full kind of Labour person.
Yeah, because I've drunk most of it.
Yes, so this is the fallout from last week's elections. The BBC were worried that the local election results might be a bit boring, so they tried to put some pizzazz into it with their state-of-the-art technology.
It's going to send a real shiver down the spine of many Labour MPs. But, of course, we haven't got that result yet. But what we can do is start to look at exactly what is going on in the rest of the country, assuming this magic wall actually does work, which it isn't at the moment. Oh, here we go. Just getting used to it this morning, you know, it's very, very early doors. Here we go. So let's have a look at... let's just have a quick look at... Oh, it's not working.
Lewis, do you want the remote control, mate?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's very early. We're just getting used to each other, this screen and me, you know what I mean?
Don't worry, mate, nobody was watching. So, how did one Labour insider describe Labour's failure to connect with the voters of the North?
Brilliant. I read the other day that somebody said that the leader of the Labour Party needs to be an entertainer and a teacher. I was like looking around, who have we got here who's an entertainer and has been... Oh, Romesh!
Oh, listen,
It's a great job.
Yeah, I've heard it.
I mean, and if things don't go well for you, people are very, very kind.
No, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
And particularly the former leaders.
Yeah.
I love the fact that both Blair and Corbyn came out within about 2 microseconds saying, you see, you're useless, aren't you? If it had been me, I'm just saying, me, it would have been great. But you are useless.
Yeah, I think I'll pass. Thank you, though. A Labour insider described Labour's failure to connect with the voters in the North by saying, it's not only that we're not in the room, we don't even know where the room is. Labour's other problem was that the Tories had some really exciting policies. Here's the victorious candidate in Hartlepool.
What difference will people see? What will you do for Hartlepool now?
Oh, well, watch this space. I've got a lot of plans. I've got a great list of people I'm going to get back to and have a lot of roadmaps I'm going to make so that we can keep ticking things off.
Can you tell me any policies now?
Well, you'll have to wait and see. I've got a big list.
Oh, got so many policies. Oh, got so many of them.
Is there that much known about Jill Mortimer, her name is, isn't it?
Well, you know her name, which is good.
She's described as a trainee barrister. Is that true? Did they get it wrong? Is she actually a trainee barista, maybe?
Well, I mean, the public clearly didn't mind. We kept seeing videos of people saying, it's time for a change in Hartlepool. It's time for a change. I voted for a change. I voted Tory. And you thought, they've been in power for 11 years now. It's not a great change, is it?
How has Keir Starmer dealt with the fallout from the elections?
Very well.
This lying thing, you're awfully good at it.
I had a feeling you might say that, Joe. So, Keir Starmer said the day after the Hartlepool result, I take full responsibility, and then sacked Angela Rayner as chairman. I mean, they've still got, Angela Rayner and Keir Starmer, still got a close working relationship, though, because it seems like they're doing the next series of Broadchurch together. How do people see Keir Starmer, according to one insider?
He looks like Action Man after a few years when he stopped working. He does. He looks like Action Man. There he is.
That chiseled jaw.
Yeah, but he's Action Man 20 years after he was originally Action Man.
He's more sort of legal action man, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, an insider said of Keir Starmer is the perfect husband. You just wouldn't want to have sex with him.
That is the perfect husband.
How has Angela Rayner been compensated?
Usually, if you're in charge of a party, you say, you're fired. And someone says, oh, yeah. But in this case, you said, you're fired. And she said, no, I'm not. And then they spent a day in which they came up with a new job for her. So she's Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster.
You're exactly right, Ian. So in addition to being Deputy Leader, she's the Shadow First Secretary of State, the Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, and Shadow Secretary of State for the Future of Work. So many shadows, she could support Cliff Richard on tour. Who are people comparing Keir Starmer to?
Napoleon.
No, not quite that far.
OK.
Sooty.
It is Sooty. No, it's not Sooty.
Queen Victoria.
No.
What's the initials?
As soon as I give you the initials,
Yeah.
I think you might have an idea. IDS.
Oh, Ian Duncan Smith.
Yes.
Right.
I thought that was a sexual disease. Sorry, I was thinking of irritable bowel syndrome.
IBS.
IBS.
Yeah.
That's the one I was thinking.
In which case, the comparison's pretty rude, isn't it?
Yes, it is. One's a pain in the arse and the other one's...
Founder of Universal Credit.
Yes.
They are comparing Keir Starmer to Ian Duncan Smith.
Who are these they?
Jane Fonda, Albert Tatlock, they've all been comparing him.
Fair enough.
I mean, I don't know if you think that's a massive insult to compare him to Ian Duncan Smith, but he is definitely getting it in the neck. A local Hartlepool man, Liam Westmoreland, told The Guardian, there's beer mats with more personality than Keir Starmer. What did Keir do next?
The reshuffle?
Yes, he had a reshuffle where some people you didn't know lost jobs you didn't know they had, while some other people you hadn't heard of stayed exactly where you didn't know they were. I'm afraid Annalise Dodds has gone. There's no point complaining about it.
He's actually taken the chairs on the Titanic and moved them about, but there's no Titanic and there's no chairs. There's just a group of people changing places with each other and then saying, you're this and I'm that. I'm this now, and I'm going to do that, and they won't do it.
It feels like you lack a little bit of faith in the process.
I mean, it was all just a mess, and people who said, you know, Starmer's incompetent and has got no judgment, well, the test was, could he reshuffle, as you said, the chairs on the Titanic? And what he did was throw them overboard and jump into the iceberg.
He also did a round of interviews and told the BBC, "I will change things that need changing, and that is the change I will bring about." Change number 1, fire speechwriter. Why might Labour headquarters be moving to Newcastle?
Make it less metro-centric, get it away from the perception of it being a London-led party.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty close. It's been suggested that they should literally get close to their core voters by moving there. A lot of Londoners would find that a bit scary. They'd be worried about getting signal on their iPads. Lemn, that was a horrendous noise. You weren't a fan of that at all.
No, it's one of the advantages of not having a live audience. We don't have to fight our way through the booing.
Thank you. Thank you for your support, guys.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm feeling very loved. Who's in a stronger position after last week's results?
Are you talking about Scotland?
Yes.
Yes. They didn't get a majority, the SNP, but they did win again for the 4th time.
Yes.
So Nicola Sturgeon is back, and she said independence wasn't, a priority, but now it is.
Exactly right. Nicola Sturgeon claims to be in a better position to engineer another independence referendum. How has Boris Johnson tried to outmanoeuvre her on this?
He said we're not going to have one. No, he's called a summit of all the nations of the UK to discuss how we could best get along together.
Yeah, he has called for a summit on post-COVID regeneration involving all 4 nations. You get the feeling that Sturgeon can just keep leveraging this for investment in infrastructure, don't you? Just sort of give it 5 years and Dumfries will look like Singapore. Nicola Sturgeon said in a speech, "This treats Scottish voters as a sideshow." But anyway, on to the main news. Who else did well out of the elections?
Free ports.
No, it's like a colourful individual, I guess is the best way to describe him.
Timmy Mallet.
He had a campaign video that looked like... that was sort of unfortunate, but actually managed to turn that into a triumph.
Not the one that we had last week, not the one that's shot in the children's playground.
Yes. Tiger Patel, the cock on a slide man. That ingenious... there he is. That ingenious campaign video actually won him his seat in Blackburn from a Labour incumbent.
Brilliant.
Nothing underlines Labour's loss of core vote than an Asian Tory councillor called Tiger Patel. Now, shall we see how they're getting on over at the BBC with their jazzy election graphics?
Oh, yeah.
Now, Hugh was saying that there is a variety of councils that have been up for election this time round. Let's see if my screen will cooperate with me here. Let's just try that again. Ah, no. Am I not going to have any luck? I was wanting to show you some of the councils which have changed hands. I'll just give it one more go. There we go, and then try it here. I'm afraid it's not going to work.
It's terribly comforting, isn't it? Other people's IT being completely useless.
Something else happened this week. What was it?
In Italy, they introduced their first 24-hour pizza machine. You put your money in and a pizza comes out.
It's got a big slot.
Oh, matron, yeah. I think it has quite a big slot, Ian, yes.
It's not the pizza vending machine, though, although I'm much more excited about that.
Is it a man in Stockport who gave himself a hernia by lifting a Labrador above his head 20 times?
No, but did that happen?
Yeah.
Did that happen?
No.
Oh. The thing I'm looking for is the Queen's speech.
Oh, yeah, the Queen
She knows where it is because she read it out.
What was the most controversial thing about it?
She dressed down.
She sang it?
She didn't appear in ceremonial robes. She was wearing tracksuit bottoms and a hoodie.
Was it that health and social care was only mentioned for 8 seconds?
Yes, there was no social care bill on the grounds that it's just too hard.
But they did do the bill about cats being microchipped.
Well, yeah. Why the cats? Was that a Carrie influence?
Sexist.
No, I'm not saying it because I'm sexist, but I'm just saying it because I think she's been mooted as possibly the one that gives a shit about animals.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah.
That should be a campaign slogan for the World Wildlife Fund. Do you give a shit about we do. Look at the size of this bugger. There's only 10 of them left. Send us your money. We give a shit, do you?
I mean, the speech was full of things that it seems odd to worry about, and it didn't contain some other things that perhaps it would have been a good idea to worry about.
Well, should you be Prime Minister, Ian?
No, I'd be terrible.
Why?
Have you met me?
Not really, no. I just see you on TV.
So this is the latest political earthquake, that having voted 70% in favour of Brexit, the people of Hartlepool decided they wanted a Tory MP. Keir Starmer said he took full responsibility for the defeats and promptly sacked Angela Rayner. And I'd like to take full responsibility for tonight's jokes, but let's just say a few writers won't be back for Series 62. Following the strong performance by the SNP, Robert Peston claimed Boris can't deny Scotland a referendum without taking the UK to a very dark place. But surely that is Scotland. Paul and Joe, take a look at this.
Hugging.
People launching themselves at each
Yes,
other.
travelling. You can go to Margate. There's Margate. Holidays. Hugging. All these things are going to happen, providing there's no setbacks.
Yes, this is the devastating news that we've reached stage 3 of the COVID recovery roadmap, which means that from Monday, people will be able to hug us again. As if things haven't been bad enough. I mean, my mum has asked if she can come round my house at 11:59. She'll be queuing outside my house like I'm launching the iPhone 12. What were Boris Johnson's personal thoughts about having close contact with someone on Monday?
This is a family show.
Yeah. It's hug away.
He actually said that hugging would be a personal choice. Let's have a look.
Whoever I hug, I can assure you it will be done with caution and restraint. I'm not going to act it out now.
I like the idea that Michael Gove announced this first, and the idea of Gove hugging you with a knife in one hand. Just...
I think there's quite a lot of people not really looking forward to the hugging thing who've been rather enjoyed not having to.
Have you enjoyed not having to?
Yes, I have. I'm getting a taser now. I tell you who I am going to hug.
Yeah.
A hoodie. Because I've always thought that was a jolly good bit of advice. I don't really know what it means, but, you know, I'm going to...
That was David Cameron's idea.
It was, wasn't it?
I mean, but it's just alliteration, isn't it? Hug a hoodie, kiss a killer, grope a German. You know, it's...
They're all policy now.
Yeah.
Now, we'll come to holidays in a bit, but what else is back on from Monday?
Eat inside. You can go inside restaurants now, can't you? And you can have a drink at a pub now indoors.
Go to the dump.
No, you have been able to, but you've had to book.
Takes all the excitement out.
I know, because I just love just a spontaneous trip to the dump. It's like, you know, one of life's few pleasures, and then you've got to plan it and schedule it. Awful. There's other things, actually. There's overnight stays away from home are going to be legal again. Exercise classes are back, which I'm buzzing about. Museums, cinemas, concert halls and theatres can reopen. And as you said, at last, we'll be able to sit inside a pub. Great news for these people in Manchester.
What about swimming pools? Are they opening up?
Oh, I don't know. Are they?
Because I do something called Aquafit.
So what's...
Which obviously you have to do in aqua.
Sure.
No Latin. Anyway, apart from the actual fit bit, which I'm not that keen on, the rest of it's a right laugh. And the woman that runs the class plays 80s hits, and I go with a friend and we play Beat the Intro. That's my favourite bit. Come along. Actually, a man came along roughly week 3, and, oh, that was frowned upon massively.
Was it?
It was.
Why?
I don't know, just because everyone naturally assumed he was a perv. I'm sure he wasn't. He was very nice, but he never came back.
You know what they say about men and water?
OK. Yeah. Who's up for a quick game of good news, bad news?
Robert Redford.
No, that's not... Oh,
that's not a question.
No, it's not a question, it's...
OK,
yes, definitely.
Yeah, we are.
OK, so this is how it's going to work. In good news from Monday, the ban is lifted on overseas holidays. But in bad news, travel is only being encouraged to one of 12 green list countries. So we're going to pick a few holiday destinations from the government's Green for Go list. So it's good news for Australia, New Zealand and Singapore. But what's the bad news?
They don't want us in.
Without being quarantined.
Ian, you're absolutely right.
Oh.
Although you are legally able to travel to Australia, New Zealand and Singapore, they remain closed to foreign visitors.
So what do you do, circle Sydney Airport and come back?
You come home and get a fantastic holiday.
In good news, you can legally go on holiday to South Georgia. But what's the bad news?
It's in the Falkland Islands, long way away. There's no flight there.
You're absolutely right. It takes 3 days to get to South Georgia, and it costs £5,000. According to Daniel Hammond in The Sun, you have to take an RAF flight to the Falkland Islands and then charter a boat for the last 900 miles. What have visitors to this castle in Transylvania been offered?
Their own weight in paper bags?
No.
No.
Romania's government has turned major venues into vaccination centres, including Dracula's Castle, Transylvania. Government health officials are yet to determine whether giving out jabs at Dracula's Castle has boosted local vaccination numbers, as everyone in the village pub goes quiet as soon as a stranger asks about the count. Medical workers, who I suspect from those fangs on their scrubs may actually be staffed from the gift shop and cafeteria, are offering free shots of the Pfizer vaccine, and you also get free entry to the castle's exhibit of 52 medieval torture tools. Meanwhile, over in Uzbekistan, there's some confusion about what to do with your hands when listening to your country's national anthem. What do you think they should do?
Is it jazz hands?
Nobody went for jazz hands. Nobody got that desperate.
Wave? That wouldn't seem right, would it?
Put your hand over your heart. A lot of people in
Yes,
America do that,
that's
don't
a
they?
good one.
Salute.
Basically, they couldn't figure out which to go for. Have a look at this.
That's wonderful.
While in the town of Torgau in Germany, they unveiled a 2-metre-tall wooden statue to lift the spirits of locals during the pandemic. Does anybody know what the statue was of?
A burger.
No, it is food, though.
Potato?
Asparagus.
It is asparagus.
Oh, my God.
Well, there we are.
You are absolutely right. It paid tribute to local crop asparagus. Locals are being encouraged to stay firm, and this would surely have inspired them to do just that.
Yes.
Asparagus.
Yeah. They're calling that asparagus, are they?
Wait, is that the asparagus?
Yes,
I thought we were on to the next.
No. I didn't just randomly throw
That's
up
a knob.
picture, you know,
That is not an asparagus.
Yeah. Nothing gets past you, then.
Yeah.
Eagle on our side.
Yeah, it is quite penisy, yeah.
Yeah, very, very. With the scaffolding.
Yes.
Well,
which is how I have mine, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. Every man's dream. Scaffolding.
Well, I don't know if that's my dream. I don't want to knot hole halfway down it. I wonder who on earth got that job to carve that great big wooden knob. There we are. They built it somewhere near the palace. Look at the size of that wooden phallus.
Now, an unexpected convergence of 2 separate queues in Plymouth on Monday resulted in people who thought they were queuing for a vaccine finding themselves, in fact, doing what?
Was it a sperm bank?
It was actually queuing for Plymouth Argyle season tickets. So...
There was a queue?
Home Park, the Plymouth Argyle Stadium, was actually transformed into a vaccination centre. While on Monday, season tickets also went on sale. So here's a queue. Finally, what has David Cameron published this week?
Book of poetry.
Sadly not.
Is it text messages?
It is. He published a list of all the emails and texts he sent to government ministers at the height of the pandemic, pestering them for government funding for the now-collapsed finance firm he was working for, Greensill Capital. According to the BBC, between 5th of March and 26th of June 2020, the ex-PM and his staff sent ministers and officials 45 messages. One message was to Michael Gove, saying, "I know you are manically busy, but do you have a moment for a word? I'm on this number and V free." And yet, at the same time, V expensive.
David Cameron, he was the one that thought lol meant lots of love, didn't he?
I think he thought lol meant lots of lolly. Just shoved that on the end of a text and you became very rich.
Is that what the teenagers call money these days? Lolly, is that?
Lolly, yes. Apparently ever since about the early 20s. Someone who was quizzing him and the committee said, "This isn't sending text, this is stalking."
Did he actually publish them voluntarily because he thought it would...
It would make him look transparent and he said, you know, lessons will be learnt and perhaps in future I should have, you know, done it more formally rather than bombarding people with texts.
When people try to be transparent, you can often see right through them, can't you?
This is the exciting news, that from Monday it will be legal to hug. Boris confirmed that the next phase of unlocking was going ahead, which for most of us meant that thing you already started doing again 2 weeks ago is now officially open. New rules mean that we can now meet up with up to 30 people outside, and even Asian families are going, that is actually a lot of people. OK, time now for round 2, the sledgehammer of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Okay. Yeah. Oh. That's Nigella Lawson, isn't it?
It was...
Oh,
go on. No.
You go.
We could do it together. It was 40 cloves and...
Garlic
and...
Chicken.
So
she came up with a recipe that had... It was a chicken dish with 40 cloves of garlic.
Yes.
And the name of the dish? Chicken halitosis.
Yeah, this is...
one of the less successful Walt Disney characters.
She shared a chicken recipe on her Instagram account, which includes 40 cloves of garlic. I mean, it's fine to have breath like that if you look like Nigella. Why don't you try that when you've got a lazy eye and Richard Ayoade's stunt hair? In our regular update on Gwyneth Paltrow, what's she gone and done now?
Didn't she get depressed because she ate some bread?
That's exactly right. So this is what she said. In an interview with the Sunday Mirror, Gwyneth revealed that during lockdown, her eating habits changed, leading to a terrible low point. She said, I was making pasta and eating bread. I went totally off the rails. And it's a bit depressing when Gwyneth Paltrow's off the rails is your Romesh, you've done really well this week. Did anyone else go off the rails in lockdown? What's the worst thing you did, Joe?
I started smoking again,
Right.
started drinking again,
Yeah.
started having affairs with sailors again, and...
They're a good source of fags and booze, sailors. They're getting duty-free. No, you're no mug. You're no mug. Hanging around Portsmouth with showing your ankles, I know what you like. I'll show you a good time for a couple of coupons.
Anyway, I like sailors. All the nice girls
They like
do.
you.
Paul, what about you?
Submariners.
Submariners?
Submariners.
Yeah?
Go down every Friday night.
What strange thing does Prue Leith keep in her bed?
Mr. Leith.
I'll give you a clue. You offered it as an answer early on.
Is it a sailor?
A knob.
I'll be honest with you, it was around knob time.
Potato.
Potato. Absolutely
potato.
right, yeah, potato.
I got something right!
Just keep saying it.
Yeah, her son, Tory MP Danny Kruger, revealed in an interview with the Sunday Times that Prue puts potatoes in her bed to help her sleep. And finally, who would like to see a handbag that looks like a whole chicken?
Yeah!
Yes.
Yes,
Of course
please.
Designer Romy Cooperus creates custom-made handbags, including this tasty-looking number.
That's just ridiculous. If you went into a supermarket with that, you get arrested for shoplifting if you kind of walk out with that.
Who wants to see some more of a delicious-looking handbag?
Yes, please.
I know you do. Let's have a look. There you go, it's Frankfurters.
Is that John Barrowman's handbag?
We've got another one.
Oh, that looks lovely.
So, Nigella Lawson has divided opinion with a recipe for chicken with 40 cloves of garlic. You think that sounds bad? I'm a vegan, so when I go round to her place, I'll just be getting the 40 cloves of garlic. Gwyneth Paltrow has revealed her struggles in lockdown. The Sunday Times described Gwyneth as a peddler of vagina accessories. Still, a less embarrassing description than that actress who was in Sliding Doors. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Royal Mail, they are using drones to post things.
Absolutely right. This is the news that Royal Mail are trialling the use of drones to deliver mail. Why are they doing it?
Is it to deliver to sort of far-flung places?
You're absolutely right. It's to speed up their deliveries to remote places like the Isles of Scilly. And it makes it a bit more fun, doesn't it? You know, a bit more jeopardy.
Yeah.
Well, it does make it fun, but also, like, I think they can carry quite a lot of weight, can't they? I think up to, like, 100 kilos or something.
How the hell do you know that?
Because I read about it in the paper.
No, but it's an incredible fact to store, though, that's all. But I mean,
No, I was only thinking because I thought it'd make a fun holiday just to grab onto one and see where you end up.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if I would be too heavy. to be carried over.
So I knew there was some sort of thought process.
Slid in under the wire. Great.
Give me 2 weeks and I'll be able to get there by drone. In other news, why were people keeping a close eye on the sky at the weekend?
Oh, because of the Chinese spaceship that was coming back to Earth. I think some of it fell into the Indian Ocean, I think.
You're absolutely right. Remnants of a Chinese rocket known as Long March 5B, which was 30 metres long and 21 tonnes in weight, were due to crash to Earth and nobody had any real idea of where it might end up. Was anybody worried?
Yeah. The Chinese gave an estimated map of where it might fall, and it was a map of the Earth.
Yes.
Oh, dear.
The US Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin said, "We're hopeful that it will land in a place where it won't harm anyone, hopefully in the ocean or some place like that." Thank God Trump wasn't still in charge. Space Force, assemble! Meanwhile, what were Coldplay doing up in space recently?
Oh, one of their songs has been played to astronauts.
Yeah, Coldplay unveiled their new single, Higher Power, which received its first play on the International Space Station before, unfortunately, being beamed back down to Earth. They debuted the song on the station because in space, no one can hear you scream. This is the news that the Royal Mail is to begin a delivery service by drone to the Scilly Isles. Also, Coldplay's new single was released this week to astronauts on the space station who are currently studying the surface of the sun. Their conclusion, it's all yellow. OK, time now for the odd one out round. Ian and Lem, your four are Mayor of West Yorkshire, Tracy Brabin, Conservative MP, David Morris, President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, and Scottish independent candidate, Jessie Ray.
Why is he dressed as a Scotsman?
And
he's just hard. You know what I mean? He's
carrying the world's longest sword that stretches all the way to Aberdeen.
I got it.
Go on.
Ursula, Tracy and David, all first-name basis, they've all been elected. Jessie Ray hasn't, but he's angry and he's got a sword.
That's not the answer I'm looking for. They've all had careers in music before politics, apart from Tracy Brabin, who had a career in acting before becoming a politician.
She was in Corrie, wasn't she?
She was. Why has this seemingly gentle man been wishing that Corrie character Ken Barlow would die in a convoluted murder plot?
Is he called Ken Barlow?
You're absolutely right. Ken was born in Japan. It was only when his family moved to North Wales that the name became a bit of a problem and has led to plenty of How's Deirdre jokes throughout his life. How did it get worse when Ken started work?
Was Ken Barlow involved in some kind of scandal that then people associated with him?
No, the reason it actually got worse for Ken when he started work is he worked for a company where another employee was called Mike Baldwin. Or in other words, the arch-enemy of Ken Barlow.
Yes.
President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, was part of a Von Trapp-esque singing group known as Die Albrecht Family, the family when she was younger. Let's have a look.
Someone's at that awkward teenage stage, aren't they?
Yeah. Really couldn't give a shit, could he?
No.
I think that's their cover of Smack My Bitch Up, but I don't speak German, so I'm not entirely sure. Now, who remembers Conservative MP David Morris's performance on Top of the Pops?
His wife does. No, I don't know. No.
You know, like a choir or something?
No, it's actually with Rick Astley.
Oh.
Let's have a look to remind ourselves. He's on the keyboards.
God, the quality of that's so bad, it's almost a brass rubbing.
1980s pop star Jessie Ray last week stood as an independent candidate for Ettrick, Roxburgh and Berwickshire constituency. Jessie says he has always worn a kilt, but why did he start wearing the helmet, which he wears everywhere, in 1983?
So people have stopped talking about the kilt?
You are absolutely right.
Really?
Yeah. Jessie said, always wore the kilt, but prejudice followed. When I wore a helmet, they didn't notice I was wearing a kilt. Job done. What upset Jessie during the election?
He lost.
They spelt his name wrong on postal ballot papers.
No.
Adding an I to Jessie. Not only was he angered that it made him sound like a woman, he also felt it ruined his chances in a knife-edge vote, with the Conservative candidate picking up 18,564 votes to his 290. He told the local newspaper...
Knife edge. Wow.
He told the local newspaper, I know of one person who has told me he would have voted for me if he knew it was me on the paper. So, they've all had careers in music before politics, apart from Tracy Brabin, who had a career in acting. Tracy Brabin was elected Mayor of West Yorkshire, but there was a surprisingly strong performance coming third by the Yorkshire Party, in a result described by the candidate as a watershed moment, and by all of its voters as bloody rubbish. Scottish Independent candidate Jessie Ray has complained that when he stood as an independent candidate in the Scottish election, he lost because his name was spelt on the ballot paper as Jesse with an I. Could have been worse. They could have called him Big Jesse. Paul and Joe.
Yes.
Here are yours. Stanley Johnson, Wallace of Wallace and Gromit, the Spanish police in Andalusia, and the Mayor of Antwerp, Bart de Wever.
Well, I suppose one of the things we know about Wallace is he's an inventor. Is that in the right sort of line? Is it about inventions?
Is it trousers? Is it about losing your trousers?
Because that's the wrong trousers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys.
Is it not?
It is.
It is?
It is.
Wallace is the odd one out.
So the answer is Wallace is the odd one out.
Yeah.
And the reason is that they've all suffered, Ian, from a lack of trousers, apart from Wallace and Gromit, who had the wrong trousers.
That's right.
Brilliant. So I was nearly right.
Yes. So Wallace of Wallace and Gromit fame famously invents a pair of automated trousers in the film The Wrong Trousers. Spanish police in El Puerto de Santa Maria, Andalusia, have gone on strike to protest against a shortage of trousers within the force. They haven't actually received any new service trousers since 2016.
Blimey.
So their old worn-out ones haven't been replaced, and high-temperature washing, because of the pandemic, has caused the trousers to deteriorate even further. After waiting patiently for bosses to supply replacements, cracks are beginning to show. How did Stanley Johnson once find himself missing his trousers?
Was he climbing out of a bedroom window?
No. What happened was, during a training exercise to become an MI6 agent, Stanley crumbled...
Stanley Johnson?
Yeah. Stanley crumbled and blew his cover when they took his trousers away during an interrogation. Stanley said, if they hadn't taken my trousers away, I might have toughed it out. But frankly, when you've been hours in a police cell in the north of England in just underpants, shirt and socks, you look for a way out. It might not be Abu Ghraib, but it was certainly alarming.
What's the north of it? Why the north of England? Why is that an important part of the story?
I don't know why he chose to add that detail.
Yeah, I mean, if he'd been in Epsom, I could have lasted weeks in Epsom. Leatherhead, no trouble. Barnsley, oh, whatever you want, whatever you want.
What led to Stanley's capture during the training exercise?
He was thick.
Well, he was actually, in his own words, distracted by an alluring blonde who offered him a lift, causing him to forget his cover and tell her, my name's Stanley. No, it isn't actually, it's Bunwell. Jeremy Bunwell. I mean Buncroft. What was the Mayor of Antwerp, Bart de Wever, caught doing without his trousers?
Cycling.
Was it one of those Zoom no-trouser things?
Ah, yes, he was on a...
He was on a Zoom call and he didn't have any
Ian,
on.
you are in a real purple patch, because you're absolutely correct. He did an interview via video call with a radio station, but failed to realise a mirror behind him gave away the fact he was in fact in his underwear. But to be fair to him, we've all done it, haven't we? Bart's not the only politician to have been caught out on a video call. What was Ohio State Senator Andrew Brenner caught doing this week?
Oh, yes, I saw, this was great. He was attending a meeting and he was driving his car at the same time and then realised that would be a bad idea. So he I don't know how the technology works, but he sort of changed the background of being in his car to his office, but he still had his seatbelt on. And he was still sort of like checking for, crossing over roads and stuff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, as he was wearing his seatbelt. Yeah, I was in the meeting, said they could see him looking left and right and in his mirrors and kept shouting, "It's green! Move, you wanker!" They've all suffered from a lack of trousers, apart from Wallace, who had the wrong trousers. Stanley Johnson tells of losing his trousers in his autobiography, Stanley, I Presume. a title inspired by his publisher, who said, "Stanley, I presume this is the first draft, because this is absolute shit."
Well, that's blunt, then.
Sounds like Faber and Faber to me.
All those London publishers, that's very much the register.
Yeah. Depends which Faber you get, because one of them's quite nicely spoken. The other one, you'll get that sort of stuff.
The makers of the Wallace and Gromit films, Aardman Animation, are now preparing for their next big challenge, animating Jimmy Carr's face. During a live radio interview, you could clearly see that a mayor in Belgium was wearing no trousers. And if you squinted hard enough, you could see Brussels. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features its guest publication, Face to Face, the official newsletter of the Salisbury Diocesan Guild of Bell Ringers. Sadly, in recent times, many bells have fallen silent, especially the one on Noel Clarke's phone. And we start with, everyone learning to bell ring knows that what is essential?
An A&E reasonably close by. I did actually used to be a bell ringer.
Did you?
I did. It's very dangerous.
Is it?
Yeah.
If it helps, the one time I did it, I ended up being pulled off in the belfry. that helped.
It's actually, everyone learning to bell ring knows that rope time is essential. Here's a group of bell ringers with some members looking a bit miserable. Why the long arms? Next, woman in Cornwall accidentally orders 12 tons of what?
Pasties.
Asparagus.
No. Woman in Cornwall accidentally orders 12 tons of compost. According to The Sun, everyone in the area has found it hugely entertaining, and the giant compost heap has become a local attraction. Here it is.
Oh, I'd get on a coach to go and see that.
I mean, it's a good job she was in, or the delivery bloke would have had to leave it next door. Next, bell number 6 was not rung at Salisbury service due to what?
Ban on tobacco promotions in the 1970s. Number 6 cigarettes.
No.
No?
No, it's not the answer.
Was it all the ringers having been poisoned by Russian agents?
It's good, but that's not it, no.
Due to the fact that the person who was ringing bell number 6 didn't turn up.
Bell number 6 was not rung at Salisbury service due to someone parking so close to Margaret's car that she couldn't get into it. I mean, that's happened to me.
Yeah.
Bloody doggers. Next, wearing a polo neck makes you what?
Makes you sweat.
No, it's a bodily thing.
Makes you incontinent.
No.
Depends how tight you wear it.
No, it's wearing a polo neck makes you yawn.
Oh.
According to the Telegraph, the study found that wearing a polo neck or scarf makes you 3 times more likely to yawn, especially if that scarf is an Arsenal one. I don't find it. No. I've said it because it's up there, but I think it's one of the most offensive things I've ever been made to say. And finally, Diana Rigg's computer password revealed to be what?
A secret?
Knob.
No, but it is rude.
Cocksucker.
No.
Arsehole.
No.
Wanker.
No.
Labia.
That sounds like a really bad firm of solicitors.
I'm sure I had a letter from them the other day.
Some of them work with Faber and Faber.
Fuck off.
Correct.
Oh.
Diana Rigg's computer password revealed to be fuck off. So, the final scores are Ian and Lem, you have 5, and Paul and Joe, you have 7.
Oh, no, we lost it at the end.
Well, you got one right.
And I leave you with news that there's a surprise for one couple appearing on TV show Storage Wars who accidentally win custody of Peter Purvis. In St Andrews, there's evidence of the enduring popularity of an 80s hit as someone blasts the Birdie song over the tannoy. And in London, as Vladimir Putin picks up the bowling ball, the World Human Skittles contest kicks off in earnest. Good night.